Happy hump day, you beautiful badass. Welcome to the Keri Croft Show. I'm your host, Keri Croft, bringing you the coolest stories to give your week that little extra something. And remember, the cream always rises to the top, so shake off the haters and be the cream, baby. So how many people ask you if it's really worth it to get a haircut by Mia Santiago?
Honestly, a lot. And honestly, it is.
I mean, she is a celebrity hairstylist in Columbus, Ohio. That's all you really need to know.
She doesn't miss, and now she has her own salon, Headspace. It is truly something this city has never seen.
Girl, I did one scalp treatment and I would let Jake put his hands on my head anytime he wanted.
No, same. It's right in Upper Arlington where Mia cuts and styles, and Jake manages a full scalp spa, which is like a facial for your scalp and a massage for all of the stress and tension we hold in our head and neck.
I legit felt like I was on something after I got my first treatment, and my hair looks so much healthier now that all the buildup and dead skin are gone. I mean, I do love massages, but honestly, this might be even better. Plus, it has so many proven benefits for my hair health.
Truly believe you get what you pay for, and Mia and Jake are the dream team.
Use code Keri for 20% off your first visit with Miss Mia Santiago.
Ready.
All right. Vanessa Perkins, welcome to the Keri Croft Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
How are you? I feel like we're old
great.
friends.
I am loving the vibe you have in here.
Thank you.
Like, it is
Thank
a place that I want to just hang out.
Would you like to come work for me?
My boss is in the room.
I was going to say that's. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but hey, you want to come? You want to come work? I mean, I may have a spot open.
Let's see how this goes, and just maybe.
I love it. So let's tee up. How is it that we're sitting here? I'm going to kind of go through the little lily pads as to how you and I ended up here.
Yeah.
So I had one Jackie Mahan from the Awesome Company on my show, and her name has been coming up very frequently. I've been talking about her a lot. So she's a connector. She's a great human being, wild and wacky, Jackie Mahan. And when she was on the show, she said the word pig 6 billion times because she has pigs and she loves pigs.
Okay.
And so I decided, let's do a giveaway and allow people who are listening, whoever comes into my DM with the right number of how many times she said pigs wins a gift certificate to the Awesome Company. Lo and behold, your boss, Amanda. Thank you for listening, Amanda.
She's definitely a numbers person. Like, how did she do that?
She said pig 88 times. I'm like, ding, 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 you win. And then I was like, wait, who is this Amanda? And what is Freedom a la carte? So this is the beauty of the show, right?
Yeah.
So I was introduced to Freedom a la carte via that experience, reached out to Amanda, sat with your team, and I'm like, wait, I can't believe there's such an incredible organization right in our backyard. How do I not know of Freedom a la carte? So my goal was and is to just kind of be the town crier for Freedom a la carte and what you guys are doing in Columbus and the surrounding areas. And so here we are.
I think it's amazing that you had that contest. Also, I knew she had won a contest, but she did not give me those details.
Yeah.
I need those details. That is priceless and definitely fits who she is.
Correct.
I think it's great.
And are you still listening to my show, Amanda? We have a live studio audience here today, too, for those of you who do not know. So I'm speaking to Amanda directly. Are you still listening to the show? Oh, I sure do. Damn straight you're listening to the show. Okay, so more about Freedom a la carte.
Yeah.
So because a lot of people right now are saying, well, what is Freedom a la carte? So do you want to define Freedom a la carte? I think that you should probably tell me what it is as opposed to me trying to fumble through it because you clearly live it every day.
I do live it. And every now and then still fumble through it, to be completely honest. We are an ever-changing community to serve survivors of human trafficking. So we are a nonprofit social enterprise. So we have a catering business and we have a cafe that's right downtown. The address is 123 East Spring Street in Columbus, Ohio. And so we offer services to survivors in a lot of different ways. We have a workforce development program, and so they can come in and work with us for up to 2 years. So they're gaining workforce development skills. They're gaining something to put on a resume. They're also working with a specialist to help with professional development in general. We also have a community of we call them butterflies, survivors of human trafficking who have been connected to Freedom. We offer a lifetime continuum of care. So if they want to be with us for any amount of time, they can be with us. There's a couple qualifying things, which you have to be a survivor of human trafficking out of the life for 6 months or longer. And if you identify as an addict, you have to be sober. So we do offer a safe, sober community.
This is the definition of human trafficking online. So Human trafficking is a crime that involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to compel someone to perform labor or engage in commercial sex acts.
Yes.
And you said except for minors because you don't have to...
You don't have to prove the force, fraud, and coercion when it comes to minors. When it comes to sex trafficking, you do still have to have those elements when it comes to labor trafficking.
Okay. So your personal experience, let's start with that because you're, I think, a perfect example of how someone can be in a situation that seems so dire and then come out the other side and be an inspiration for other people. So it's like so badass that you're sitting here.
I appreciate you saying it that way. The reality is, like, I'm a part of that. I'm a part of why I can sit here and be like the face of badasses. But the reality is I needed a community to help me with it. Because first of all, human trafficking is elusive. Like, I didn't know I was being trafficked. And I think we'll probably talk about that a little later, how it sometimes takes years to even be able to truly understand that I was trafficked.
Yes.
And so that's like a whole component that's challenging and elusive. So I needed someone to wrap around me, help me to identify the symptoms I was having, what to do with those symptoms, like the trauma responses, even my drug addiction, even issues around having a child, like all these issues. I needed like a solution for all of those problems to become whole again. And only then did I start to see how I was trafficked.
Yeah.
It's like bizarre how the process works. And it's going to be different for everybody.
Yep.
But often people don't even know they're trafficked.
So you start doing drugs, that addiction starts to become deeper, darker, scarier, more intense, where you're like, okay, I need drugs. You meet someone, they're like, hey, I can get you some drugs if you do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Is that how it started for you?
So it's actually more than that. It actually started when I was 4 or 5 years old and someone was creeping into my room and he was doing things to me that shouldn't happen to anybody ever. So my trauma started early on. Now my addiction, my drug addiction came a little bit later. Could be a result of untreated trauma. Could be my environment is full of drug addiction and chaos and domestic violence and sexual childhood abuse. And then drinking and using other drugs was like my solution for that stuff. And then at some point in time, I crossed this invisible line into dependency to where like I cannot exist without it. And then a trafficker comes along, a predator comes along and sees that vulnerability. And then they're like, I'm going to offer this person drugs only if they do these things. And because I'm so dependent in every way, I follow him, like false promises, love, drugs, shelter, food, like all of the things just to be able to survive. It's not even that I was like having a good time partying, which happened in my teenage years. But later on, I'm just trying to be able to function. I want my bodily fluids to be under control. I want my brain to slow down. I want to be able to eat a meal. Like that's the level of power a trafficker has over someone when they're using their drug addiction against them. That makes sense?
It's wild to think that it's someone that you would think in the form of like a boyfriend, but really the manipulation and the calculation and like for you to be like, the light, you don't even see it happening.
Yeah.
How many traffickers would you say that you had?
I can identify 3, but I want to tell you that I was devastated when I came to the realization that the person that I loved was trafficking me. And again, that was years after I'd been away from him because everything I thought I knew was totally different and completely wrong. So like I couldn't believe in myself anymore. I couldn't believe in what you were saying to me or anybody else because my foundation of this world had been shaken. So my trust in people and especially in myself was completely gone. So even if somebody good and healthy was in front of me, I can't tell the difference. So that's a real challenge when I'm trying to build relationships with humans in general, when I'm trying to have self-sufficiency and wholeness within myself and just to move forward in my life. Like that's why that wraparound piece and community is so important and people that won't give up on us and give us some time to be messy and to be inappropriate and to be angry. Like give us some time to work through that and still be there with us.
Yeah, because I'm trying to also wrap my brain around when you're 4 and 5 years old and that, I mean, you should be safe and protected and coveted and loved.
And playing.
And for you to have that type of violation so young, it makes for me where you're at right now even that much more incredible. And to think that actually happens, and it does. It happens to people, and so of course you have a hard time, and I'm sure today, as you're sitting here, trust issues and trying to, that's one brick at a time, right?
Yeah.
One excruciatingly hard brick at a time.
Yeah. I was able to work with someone the other day. It was a survivor of human trafficking, and she was just talking about how hard it is the anxiety is so real and all the time. And I was talking about how I was in catch court. I was a participant in catch court. And Judge Herbert asked me what my win was for the week. And my win was that I could take 3 steps down the street and not look over my shoulder. That was my win. And when I look back at that, in that moment, when I had said that to him, it was almost like a cool, like, look what I can do now. But when I look back now, almost 15 years out of the life, I look back and think how sad that is. How sad it was that that was my win. 27 years old, 25, 26 years old, my win was that I could walk down the street and not look over my shoulder. Like, recovery from this stuff is hard, and it takes time, and it takes us to have grace for ourselves and really some understanding about what has happened to a person so that we can really get to the root of each symptom and really help someone through it. That's why this is so great. Why we're here together is so great, and why I appreciate you inviting us.
Oh my gosh, of course. I'm the lucky one here.
That might be true.
When you went to jail, was it the last time you were in jail, that was sort of how you were able to break free from this vicious cycle?
Yeah.
Right? But then you had said, I said, thank God for jail. And you said, but we need to do more. We need to do better. Yeah. There needs to be more support and resources, and hence, freedom a la carte.
Yeah.
But another thing that you told me that was just, just kind of shines another light on how incredibly elusive and challenging this is, you had mentioned finding letters from one of your traffickers and how years later, why don't you tell that story, how hard it was to still read those?
I'm trying to set up a ping pong table in my garage. Just a simple thing, simple day in the life of today, whatever. I go and I'm trying to clean out the garage, and I pull out these boxes. I'm trying to get rid of stuff, and I find these letters that my trafficker wrote me while I was in jail. Now, this was 6 months ago, could have been 8 months ago. I can't do time well, but this year, and I still couldn't throw the letters away. What? Like, that is so crazy to me. So I still have them. Like, I'm sitting here with you, rational, fairly calm, and knowing that's not normal or okay, and still can't get rid of them. Like, is that trauma bond? Probably trauma bond at its finest. Like, how crazy?
In Stockholm.
Stockholm.
We had talked about that.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll ever get rid of them?
I would have thought they would have been. I think they should have already been gone.
But
I don't know what I'm stuck with.
But you know what? Maybe it's a reminder for you. Maybe it's a thing that, I don't know, that you just need to keep.
Your guess is
or maybe one day,
as good as mine.
You know what? One day you may be like, what's her name in that movie where she burns all the, how Stella got her groove back? One day you might just find yourself outside. Somebody might just trigger you. You might just start burning those letters.
I might.
You get out of jail. You end up, tell me from when you left the last jail term, how long were you in the last time?
5.5 months.
5.5 months. Yeah. So it forces you to get clean.
Yes.
But then you could just go right back into that cycle.
Yeah.
What was different?
Well, I think there's a few different factors. I was like the Walking Dead. Like, when I went to jail this last time, I knew I was meant to die. Like, I was not supposed to stay alive. My mom had taken my son, and she absolutely should have. And I'll be forever thankful for her for doing that, because I couldn't keep him safe, and she could. And so I'm grateful to her. So I had this just unbelievable emptiness. And so catch court actually was just starting when I went to jail this last time, which was in 2009. I actually spent my birthday and my son's birthday, which are back-to-back, September 19th and the 20th, back-to-back birthdays in the suicide cell.
What is catch court?
Catch court is an anti-human trafficking specialized docket at Franklin County Municipal Court.
Okay.
So it's like a 2-year program. It's changed a lot now since I was there, and there's a lot of emphasis on autonomy, and I absolutely love the direction it's going in. And when I was there, well, first of all, there was no hope for me. So catch court was my first glimmer of hope. And while I was working through some felony stuff in a different county, I was ready to quit. I was ready to give up, do my time. Athens County was looking to send me to prison for a long time. And catch court called him up and was like, we have a program we think she'd be a great fit for. They originally denied that request, and then they called back and tried again. And so thank God they were persistent and did it twice, because the second time my felony judge said, okay, let's give her a chance, and we're not going to have any grace for her. If she messes up at anything, she's going to prison. So those little moments of just a little piece of hope, which I have never, ever had. I've never seen anybody recover. I didn't know that I should recover, because I just believed I was meant to, I deserved what I got. I'm such a terrible person. I abandoned my son, couldn't take care of him. I'm not doing right by any humans at all, including myself. I'm trying to kill myself. Like just total mess. So that little glimmer of hope just kept me going just long enough to hear some truth, because I didn't know the truth. So it was just long enough to hear some truth, which opened the door a little bit to start to be able to see humans as being somewhat good, maybe not all evil. And I can't exist in this world when I think the whole world is evil and out to hurt me. And I also wasn't good. So I'm like a part of the pool of like negativity and bad things. So it's just, I guess that was it.
Was there a person in Catch Court or someone that you remember being particularly pivotal to help you walk through, like toward the light a little bit?
That's a great question. So Judge Herbert is well known now. Catch Court's well known for the most part. Judge Jody Thomas oversees Catch Court now. She's well known. But when I first started Catch Court, it wasn't well known. So Judge Herbert was not my like, oh, he's going to help me with, like, he's a judge on a bench and we don't talk to the police and we don't talk to judges. And so like he wasn't my moment of like, I got this or hope. But his staff was. That was a huge piece, is the people he had on staff, which was like Cece and Shaniqua, which I know you don't know those names, but if they happen to hear, I would love to let them know that I still think about them and still use the gifts that they had given me. But also when I first was being introduced to Catch Court, when I came out in handcuffs and shackles and a lice cap, because I had lice, not proud of this, but the reality is it's rough out there.
Yeah.
And
I got some prison questions. We'll get there.
So I'm looking forward to. So I walk out into the middle of the courtroom looking like that, and I'm totally full of shame, and I have no idea how to feel feelings because I'd been high for many, many years. And the people in the room that were in Catch Court, there was like 4 or 5 people were people I was just on the street with like months before, and we thought they died. We're like, where did this person go? Like, they must have died somewhere. No, they were in court, and they had some light in their eyes, and they had a little bit of a smile, and they were in court like on purpose. And so they were saying things to me like this is a better way. You deserve this way. We also understand why you want to go back to your trafficker. Well, they would say boyfriend, not trafficker.
Right.
So like that little piece of connection and understanding was just enough to keep me around, you know?
How hard did he fight to keep you back in the darkness?
So he would, the trafficker. Once we have a community and we don't have as many vulnerabilities, the traffickers can't even touch us. I mean, they could touch us in the sense of like really chase us down and hurt us. Most traffickers want the vulnerabilities of people, but we currently have people that we know that are like hiding from traffickers because they've just got out of prison, things like that. So that's a very real fear and real need to find safety. But for me, my traffickers are very much like, she's not vulnerable anymore. I saw him one time, and I was riding my bike through an area that I knew not to ride my bike through, but I was trying to be normal and be tough. Like, I can do it. It's not going to control me and blah, blah, blah. And then I saw him, and it rocked me for weeks. So he hasn't done much, but I can tell you, I see him everywhere, even when I don't actually see him. I see him everywhere, every single day, still to this day. Like every single day, I'm looking for him. Every day I see him until I see the face, and I'm like, okay, it's not him. Every day. And I've been doing and I'm not even like afraid. I don't think I'm afraid of him anymore, but I still look for him. I really still want to know right where he's at, because he's the one. As I'm talking to you, I'll tell you what's happening to my body right now. Is I feel it in my chest, and I feel it like I'm feeling emotion, a sense of like feeling trapped, because I'm feeling what I felt with him. And he can't get me like that today, but he definitely had me like that before. And the way that he would control me is by not letting me know right where he was at, not letting me know his next move. And he would say the words, "I'm going to dog you, bitch." And when he would say that to me, I knew it was coming, but he would never let me know when. So like I would just be waiting for it. And when he'd said those words, it was for sure coming, and it would be the most vicious beatdowns in the worst of ways, in front of people, in the middle of the daytime, in the middle of the street, and do really ungodly things to me with like people around. So when I say the world was dark, like they were right there next to me and did nothing. That was how it felt, and I had no hope. So like he's just this evil person. So when I look for him, I'm looking for him to just know. I look him up on our community website, our city website. It's called Courtview. Anybody can look up people. and just to see if he's in jail. I do that at least once a week.
Can you breathe more when he's in jail?
I thought you were just telling me to breathe. I'm like, it's a great idea. Let's breathe right now.
Actually, let's do
great
it.
idea.
Would you want to see him in jail? Because I'd want to be like, okay, he's behind. Like, it would make me probably feel, not that you feel like he's going to come for you, but
he's always there anyway.
The extent that I can understand this, I mean, the trauma of remembering that, like those words from him and knowing what's coming, and then the life you have now, where you're like, please don't take this away from me.
Yeah.
Like you want to trust that everything is going to be okay, but my God, it wasn't okay.
Yeah. And I have no other memories with him of like, maybe it's okay. But I'll tell you what I'm really looking for, and I'm just going to expose how like dark I can get sometimes, is like, I'm really looking for someone to say he's deceased.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying I want to like go kill him. I really don't want bad things to happen. I want this
him
to be gone. Like, I want
gone.
it to be gone. And trauma bond is so interesting because I have that side of me, which is very regular, but every now and then my head will be like, well, but maybe he's recovered. Like, it matters. Like, it doesn't matter if he's recovered or not. We do go talk, have a conversation with him.
Go have coffee.
Go have coffee.
No.
No. But before I knew what trauma bond was, those thoughts made sense. The thought of like, maybe I should just go see. Let's go see if he's okay now. Maybe he's better. Why not have a conversation if he's better?
The manipulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you were in catch court, then you started to see a path forward.
Yeah.
And then where did Freedom a la carte play?
Yeah. First, the path was very short. I couldn't see very far because I very much was still like having no idea how to live in this world without this old lifestyle I'm trying to let go of. The people, like, who are my people going to be? What am I going to do for fun? Like, who am I? I have no idea. So I had to frame it in a way of like, I'm kind of like a blank canvas, and that we're going to figure out what this picture is. And that's what I share with other people is like, I'll ask them on a regular basis, what do you do for fun? Who are you? What are you about? What's your thing? You know? And they'll be like, I have no idea. I'm like, that is perfect. You're a blank canvas.
Yeah.
So just a little piece of like, it might be tough being 40 years old, just coming out of the life and having no clue who you are, but also you're a blank canvas and you get to choose who you are.
That's actually
That's
a great analogy.
It's a gift. And so Catch Court provided that little bit of a vision into a future that didn't involve death. Or didn't involve like beat downs and, but I didn't know what it was going to be. So I really was just doing day by day. Like you were saying, that one brick at a time is very much like that. And so as time went on and I started to learn how to live in this world, like then I could see a little bit further ahead and a little bit further ahead, still never really making plans, still never really dreaming. Do you know, I've been out of life for almost 15 years, and probably 2 or 3 years ago, I realized that I don't dream about the future. And then I started thinking, oh gosh, what would happen if I did dream about the future? What does that look like? So we had like this whole meeting. It was really, I was trying to qualify for a dream scholarship through She Has a Name. And there's a session that you do that's like, tell us how you're dreaming or what your dream is that we can give you money toward a dream. And I could not come up with a dream. And so I sat through this session and everybody's doing their own thing and I didn't do anything. And I didn't apply for the scholarship because I couldn't dream. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that I wasn't dreaming. I was just trying to
survive.
Stay alive. And so then I started dreaming and started to like look at different things. So Freedom a la carte comes into Catch Court as a partner because Catch Court was about 4.5, 5 hours long because the more it grew and we were figuring out, I was a participant, so they were kind of figuring out what Catch Court should look like. We realized that we got to feed these people. We're keeping them this long. We got to feed these people. And so that's how like Catch Court came in and provided food. Volunteers to create a meal and bring in so we could just break bread together. And we create relationships that way. And so we would just eat food and talk, and it wasn't pressure and it wasn't court and it wasn't treatment. It was just eat food and talk about things. And then we had this mentality that like, if you're not doing right in your life, like we are going to give you some time to tell on yourself. Otherwise, we're going to talk about it. And it wasn't to be punitive or to shame. It literally is like, I care so much about you that this needs to be, we need a solution for this. And when it's in secret, it's dark and it festers in a negative way. So if we can put it out there, see what happens, So that was like our mentality. And I think there's some of that still happens today where they're looking out for each other. That was magical to me. That was everything.
When you were struggling and on the right path and like, putting one foot in front of the other, how much was getting your son back sort of like this thing that kept you focused?
I would love to say.
Or was it?
It was not.
It wasn't.
And I'll tell you why. I didn't believe that I should have him. I hurt him and abandoned him and put him in situations he should have never been in. My true belief in myself is there's no way I should ever be in the presence of my son again because he doesn't deserve to have a mom like me. That was my belief. But my community would say things like, well, let's just go to court and see what happens. So they would never say, let's go get custody. That's the right thing because you're the mom and you should have custody. Your mom shouldn't have custody. But I couldn't hear that. So they knew not to say that to me. They would just say, let's just go to court and see what happens. So I would go to court several months apart, one after another, just going because there's an appointment, there's a court date on the books. And I would go, and about a year and a half later, I finally had the notion, like maybe I could be his mom. And he was going on 3, I think, like something like that. So he's still little. And I had that thought, maybe I could be his mom. So he was coming to visit throughout that time. Like it was like one day every other week and then one weekend every other week. Like it was visitations were really spread out and grew very slowly. But I have so much complex trauma. Like I needed that space. And as much as like I don't love to share, like it was actually exactly what I needed was to not have him. Mm-hmm. I think that is why our life is sustainable today. Is because that foundation was built on a real solid ground when it comes to dealing with trauma and drug addiction. And how in the heck do I parent at all, let alone sober? In addition, as he grows, he embodies my first abuser. So now he's activating me in ways that are really challenging and not his fault. It's not his fault. It's the reason's fault. It's the person's fault. So I always try to make sure I keep the blame and the attitude or the avoidance or whatever to myself and work through that with a counselor.
Yeah.
Because it's not for my son to carry because it's not actually his fault. And so like there's just, but had I not had that foundation, I don't know what today would be like being activated in my own home, you know?
Well, shit, now that you say it that way, because I'm thinking a 3-year-old under the best circumstances is really hard. Yeah. So I'm picturing you like you are like treading water, just trying to figure out all this stuff. Then you got this 3, you're like, all right, I love you, kid, but like I got some shit to figure out before. That makes total sense.
And I want to give it, my mom is not going to ever hear this podcast. She's not a podcast person, but I do owe her so much because she was so patient. Never once, and not everybody's in this circumstance. Like sometimes people who have custody, we either don't want to ever give custody back or want to take them back right now. And my mom was right in that middle ground and she literally would say, even when I was in the middle, I was on the phone. Oh gosh, I'll never forget. I was on a jail call with my mom when I first heard my son's first words. I was on a jail call and I was on the phone crying to mom saying like, make him forget me. That was my words to her. And she makes a book of pictures of me and gives it to him. Like she's like, I don't think so. Mm-hmm. But I meant it. And I was sobbing when I said it to her because I was so hopeless. I said, make my son forget me. I don't want to hurt him anymore. That was my real hope. And she wouldn't do that. So then she just kept saying, you're sick, you're going to get better. You're sick, you're going to get better. And that's what she carried the whole time, no matter how long it was, no matter what my attitude was. She always kept that. That was as soon as you get better, you get him. As soon as you get better. And as soon as I got better, she gave him back. And we had a perfect transition. Like she would be there for the visitations. And those were tough sometimes because he would get hurt, like stub his toe or something, and like run to her. And I'm like, but I'm right here. Yeah. But like we had to allow that process. And so that was like, my mom did a great job there.
Yeah. And how complicated is all of this? Because when you were 4 and 5, you were in your mom's care.
Correct.
And I mean, how much baggage does she carry knowing that these terrible things happened to you? And when did she find out?
She first found out when I was 21 years old, and I was completely drunk and was like, this guy did this, blah, blah, blah. And she like heard it and didn't quite, like nobody around could really take that as truth because I was just a train wreck and had been for a long time. But I was definitely telling the truth. So then I get sober a few years later, and a few years after I get sober, I go to my mom and I have this conversation with her, totally sound of mind, and she believed me and went into a depression. And she was just, I didn't mean for that to happen. And I did go to her out of anger, thinking like, why couldn't you protect me? Like how, and then there were times that I battled with, did she actually know? Like maybe she knew. But then like, listen, she was on Klonopin in 151, which if you've never done that, don't do it. It is a blackout every single time.
151
so,
on its own.
And we're not,
Jesus, I've never even heard of that twist.
It's bad. Nobody should do that. No. So like, if I look back, I can see how it is possible she didn't know. And I'm landing and choosing to live in, she did not know. And so, so we have a relationship today.
Well, I mean, I think the way she handled the situation with your son, I mean, it's a mother's love. Yeah. However imperfect. Yeah. Is jail like a JV, like where it's like, it's not as, you weren't looking over your shoulder for someone to like, no. Am I watching too many? Set me straight here on jail.
So jail, first of all, is Jackson Pike here in Columbus, and one of the worst jails in the country. And awful, absolutely awful. And always 100% of the time, no, you're not safe. Even when fights kick off in the dorms, like if somebody does try to get a guard in there, you don't get them for 15 minutes. The fight is done by then. People are bleeding by then. It's like you walk this fine line of trying to just kind of fly under the radar, but also not crawling before others because you're in jail and you can't just be like, you shouldn't say that to me. Like you don't have trauma competency in there, right? And I've watched many fights. I've been in many fights. Also, the facilities in general, like we had a sewage come up out of our floor, and we all had to grab our stuff and get up on the picnic tables, and then we had to clean it up. I'm pretty sure that's not okay. I don't know.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? It's our home.
There's a pecking order too, right? I mean, you know who the boss is, and then you kind of have to play all that. It's like Survivor, but in jail.
Yeah. There's been times I've been in dorms where that wasn't really the case, and it was kind of calmer and people were okay. But most of the time you go in and it's like you just got to be ready for anything and be strategic at all times, like at all times. And that comes from, or that could be looking like being careful about what you get on commissary, like not to get too much, or make sure you have enough to go around, or know who the right person is to have in your corner, or just whatever you got to do to survive. Like, it just depends. Coffee is a huge commodity in jail. So if you can trade your coffee for something, that's nice. But not me, because I'm the one that wants the coffee. I work at Freedom.
Yeah. How do you sleep
today? Very light. Oh, today. Like literally?
Yeah. Like, how do you, are you a good, I ask this because I picture you in jail and I picture the sleep had to be horrible.
Yeah, it was.
And just the trauma, you're constantly fight or flighting. Yep. And so now today in this world that you live in, is it easy for you to just like go into slumber, or are you, do you have bad dreams? Because I know for me, when I lay, sometimes when things get really still, that's where thoughts can creep in.
Yeah.
Ready to elevate your self-care game? Boss Gal Beauty Bar is a modern med spa offering everything from cosmetic injectables, lasers and microneedling to medical-grade facials and skincare. Conveniently located in Clintonville, Grandview, Powell, and Easton, making self-care a priority has never been easier. Use code CROFT for $25 off your first visit. We all know the age-old joke, why did the chicken cross the road? Well, in this day and age, cool chicks cross the road to make their way to Zen Hen, a groovy little boutique in downtown Powell, Ohio. Located at 37 South Liberty Street, Zen Hen offers curated apparel, accessories, and gifts from purpose-driven brands. Stop in and listen to Tara's story and the stories of the brands sold within the shop. Ask her why a hen is Zen, and receive four-legged greetings from Wally, the small and mighty shop dog. At Zen Hen, your purchase has a bigger purpose. Mention the awesomeness that is the Keri Croft Show and receive 20% off your total purchase.
Yeah, most of us have some challenge with sleeping, and I would be one of them at times. And there were definitely times where it was real consistent, and it gets exhausting when you have one day after another where there's not like solid sleep or going into REM because you're up and down or nightmares. I often have nightmares, and it's really a bummer because when I wake up from those nightmares that are connected to trafficking or trauma, I don't just wake up and be like, okay, thank God that was a nightmare. Like when I have other nightmares, like falling or the elevator falling or whatever, like I can wake up and be like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm good, it's fine. But those other ones like carry with you for the day, and that's tough to just move forward because you're exhausted in general, but also the memory of carrying the memory. And that's tough.
Yeah. But so now you've been with Freedom now, what, for how many years?
Forever. So I actually started with them. Started to talk about how they came into Catch Court and they brought food, but they also brought mentors. And then mentorship has been a game changer for me personally. And it was really what opened up some doors to like humanity for me, for good humanity. And then there was an identification of a gap in employment for people who are in Catch Court for multiple reasons, criminal record being one of them. Also not having any employment or legal employment for years. So finding a job was really challenging, plus the criminal record and trauma responses. You're having body and mind responses constantly. So it's kind of hard to just be at work all day and just grind through. Like people were having a hard time staying employed if they got employed. So Freedom identified this as a problem, was like, let's buy a food cart. Like actually a food cart that was shipped around Columbus to sell food off of this cart to give us jobs. And that's where my first job in this new life, coming from the old life, began. So I was on the food cart. I was still working. I still was in Catch Court for a period of time. I wasn't in there very long. I was graduating Catch Court and I went and started working for Freedom. And so there was like 4 or 5 of us that was working for Freedom. And it was tough because it was not a lot of money for really hard work, but also like learning to cope with even just the body pains that come from doing the work. And we're not on drugs anymore. We can't go have a drink to relax and decompress. Like we have lost that luxury. So it was just about learning how to navigate all of that. Plus we put our bodies through so much when we're out there. You know, my last run out there, I was awake for 8 days straight. Like talk about psychotic. And then my body was just like, it's just terrible. So like, then I go to jail, gain 50 pounds. So now I'm coming out of jail and I literally can't fit in any clothes, don't have any clothes. I can't walk very far. So I'm just out of shape and then I'm going to work. So like there's some challenges in there. Yeah. So to have an employer that understands some of this is really helpful. Yeah. It's really helpful.
So how beautiful though for you today to be able to see other people who are going through this and to be sort of a shelter from the storm and to be their mentor.
Yeah. That's a true gift, and that's a gift for me. Like they might like it and appreciate it, but for me personally, it's a fulfillment that I didn't expect to get. Yeah. And I worked for Freedom on the cart for about 9 months, or give or take, and then I was told to put my resume in at the prosecutor's office. Now I don't know if you know about the prosecutors, but they have put people in jail before, and so my coworkers had literally put me in jail. So that was the beginning of my career, and that was a journey that I definitely would not have done if people didn't tell me to do it, because we don't talk to the police.
The po-po?
We don't talk to the po-po. So I was just like going through the process with people mentoring me and reminding me that I'm good enough and capable. Don't get me wrong. I had no idea what these attorneys were saying. Like they have a whole different language and I could barely like function. So I had to go to I identified a couple trusted people. And this is what I share with people in workforce development or anybody that wants to listen really. Find those couple of people who are safe people that I can ask really stupid questions to, that I can go to and I'm like, I've asked this 7 times and I still can't lock it in. I need to go to that safe person to do it again. And I had a couple of those at the prosecutor's office because they were I could identify them as safe. There may have been other safe people, but I couldn't see them because they had that label of like people we don't talk to or whatever. So then they would help me process through that. So I worked in the intake division where I was working with the community, and that's where my gift was being able to relate with another person who's going through a hard time. And so I would gather their information, take it to the prosecutor's office, who may or may not have put me in jail, and then
let's just forget about that little detail.
It's just those like nuances that are just so bizarre and interesting to work through. And I would go back to Catch Court and I would go to Freedom and I would just be like, I do not belong there. And they're like, you're there for a reason. Keep up the good work.
Yes.
And like ship me back. And I was there for about 6 years. And then I became the bailiff in a courtroom for Judge Paul Herbert, and I did all of the docket. So I did Catch Court, but I did all of the docket Monday through Friday. And then I worked with all of the judges. So really it's a really trusted position in the courthouse to be the bailiff of a courtroom. And that is unbelievable. Like those moments are like if someone can trust me like that, I want to keep that trust. And so I would work really hard, and I had very similar challenges of like, I don't belong here, and finding that safe person and things like that. But that all worked, and I stayed until he retired, and then I stayed with another judge for a little while, and then came back to Freedom a la carte. So I've been with Freedom, to answer your question 10 minutes ago, was that I've been with Freedom for over a decade in some capacity, been connected to them, and that's been it's been a gift for me to just watch Freedom grow and to watch how someone can pivot. Even like when COVID happened, like food places were shutting down, but Freedom didn't. And that's because we're really great pivoters. We're problem solvers. We're going to get out there and figure it out. And it was all because we didn't want our survivors to go without. Like, that's where the drive was. Like, of course, we want Freedom to make money and all of the other things. But like, if Freedom drops, these survivors have nobody else.
Yeah.
So like, that was like the driving.
Well, another thing, like, you all been through some shit. You're like, business is nothing. Like, running a business, what the fuck? We're going to do that with our, like, blindfolded, right? You're a bunch of badasses.
Yeah, it's true.
And I will say, so when I went to Freedom, I didn't know what to expect when I walked in. It is the cute. So for anyone out that's listening, it is the cutest nook of a cafe. It's very light and airy when you walk in, very welcoming, so clean. I mean, it's a cute little place to have like breakfast or lunch.
Yes.
What's the address?
123 East Spring Street in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, it's like literally right there. And so when I walked in, I was like, how did I not know of this little miracle of a space?
Yeah. And you know, that space was really thought out. It wasn't just found in that perfect condition. It was really thought out, and through the lens of trauma competency, which is like, what would someone that's gone through the hardest thing, like how can we create a space that they could walk into and feel safe? So it's the windows, it's the lights, it's the plants, it's the palette, it's all the color palette. It's
and from someone coming in just dumb off the street, it's so well done.
Yeah,
so well done. What about the catering component? Do you guys cater to like anyone, or is there like, can anyone call and say, I need you to cater my event?
Yes, there might be some restrictions, but that's not the area of like marketing. That's not, I feel like.
Oh yeah, anyone. Okay. Anyone and everyone.
That's what I meant to say.
Specific niches or like any like thing in particular that you usually are drawn to? Is it more breakfast, lunch? Do you do dinner?
No, breakfast and lunch, box lunches,
platters,
are
like charcuterie boards are really, really great.
Okay.
So we do sandwich platters and charcuterie boards, and we do box lunches. I think box lunches is our niche, I think.
Okay.
All of it's beautiful and amazing, and everybody raves about how great the food is, because it's not just about creating a space for survivors to be able to heal and grow and be employed, which is definitely a foundation, but it's also, we wanted them to be really proud of the food that they're putting out. So it's like, we want a menu, we want some catering boxes that are like, that someone's going to put together and be like, you know what, our community loves this. Like when we get Caterer of the Year, which we have multiple times, I don't know if you saw, like that's because of the food that our people are putting together. Okay. And it's really, really great. It's great
so I know there's a lot of ears out there who are responsible in their workplace for ordering lunch for their lunch and learns and all these, things you guys are doing within your company. So let's put Freedom a la carte on the docket, shall we?
Yes, I love it.
All right. So we've got the cafe, which I love, and I will be frequenting there more often.
Look forward to
it's
seeing
on
you
my
there.
It's on my list, on my to-do list. Catering as well. I'm going to be using my mouthpiece to get the catering. So can you go over again, though, for people who want to kind of draw in more detail what the programs are at Freedom? Let's just before we close out, list those again.
Okay. So the programs we have at Freedom are, we have a partnership with Catch Court, we have the Butterfly Continuum of Care, we have a housing program, and we also have our workforce development program. So there's more information. We can always get that out to anybody that's interested in them, because we do a lot in all of them. And then
What's the website?
freedomalacarte.org.
Okay.
And it's well, we know how to spell freedom, but there's no E on the end of cart.
Got it. A la carte, no E.
No E.
.org.
Because we were an actual cart.
And you know what? The Google machine, just put in Freedom a la carte Columbus, Ohio. It will pop up, right?
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? I just want to tell you, I mean, I'm very grateful that you came in here and sat. It's a very challenging thing to talk about. You've been through a lot.
Yeah.
And I think you're beautiful inside and out. You're strong. You're brave. And I think you're going to inspire more people than you know. Truly. It's hard to do this, right? It's hard to do this under any circumstance. And I think, I don't know, I'm just grateful Grateful for you, grateful for Jackie and the pigs that connected us, and that we're all here together.
Yes, same.
Thank you so much.
Grateful to be here. Thank you.
And if you're still out there following your girl, follow me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, if you do know someone or if you are a victim of human trafficking, please call the national hotline, 888-373-7888, and keep moving. You did so great. You were such